So let's start. Again, good afternoon to everyone and very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us today for the first session of the E-Invoicing Majlis. Please scan the QR code on the slide to join E-Invoicing WhatsApp group. We have created a separate WhatsApp group for discussion on the E-Invoicing. So you can scan the QR code and then you need to register for the group. We have already more than 150 members on the group discussing all the industry leader, discussing what challenges they are facing in implementation of the e-invoice. Now, let me briefly introduce myself first. I'm a chartered accountant with around 23 years of the post-qualification experience. Out of which more than 19 years have been in UAE, including long tenure with a Big Four consulting firm in Dubai. I'm a founder of the RCA group, consists of the RCA Tax Consulting LLC and Rayma Chartered Accountant. We are providing the services of e-invoicing implementation, UAE taxation, corporate tax as well as VAT, and other taxations, accounting and audit services. I'm a founder of the corporate tax and e-invoicing Majlis group. Now, these initiatives were started in 2023 during the implementation of the UAE corporate tax and transfer pricing. We have been running weekly Majlis session every Friday until filing of the corporate tax return on 30th September 2025. We had a couple of Majlis meetings covering all the aspect of the corporate tax, and same we are planning to do for the e-invoicing implementation. We are running a corporate tax Majlis WhatsApp group having more than 500 active members discussing on the corporate tax and transfer pricing. We require a separate WhatsApp group for e-invoicing specifically. This is how last week we have created the same, and you can join by scanning the QR code on the display on the slide. The idea of the Majlis is very simple. We meet once a week for 1 hour, discuss the real challenges and share practical experiences. This e-invoicing Majlis group is meant for a member who are actively involved in e-invoicing implementation to maintain the true spirit of the Majlis. That is why this WhatsApp group is purely based on the registration and approval. Since this is our first e-invoicing Majlis, let me quickly set the background. My journey with e-invoicing started when we supported group with the operation in Saudi even before UAE announced its implementation. When UAE Ministry of Finance announced e-invoicing in July 2023, yes, you heard right. It was announced in July 2023, almost 2.5 years ago. And we were quite clear that this is coming to the UAE. We started early, and our first session on e-invoicing overview was held on 27 June 2024. I don't know how many of you were the part of the session with the experienced e-invoicing expert. So as I said that our first e-invoicing webinar was the physical seminar was in 2024, and since then we have been conducting in-house seminars, and now for the Majlis group we have started the series of the Majlis. Since then we have been many important development, including the launch of the MOA portal and FAQ on 24th October 2024. and VAT law amendment on 30th October 2024 recognizing e-invoicing. Our firm, RCA Tax Consulting, has actively contributed. We issued research paper on 1st October 2025, very next day of uh, filing of the last bunch of the corporate tax return. On 1st October 2025, we have released the first research paper on the e-invoicing, circulated in the all WhatsApp group. Then we launched the Sunday series covering 7 Sunday with 7 key highlights and 10 FAQ every Sunday. So 7 Sunday into the 7 key highlights, total 49 key highlights and 10 FAQ per Sunday, total of 70 FAQ. Now this FAQ is a one-line question answer. I'm sure each one of you must have got a copy of this 7 Sunday series. It cover everything. We run the e-invoicing masterclass. We discuss a lot with the ASPs, pre-approved ASPs. Based on that, we have compiled this data and we already share it. We have already shared this material with the members and we will be discussing the same at high level in today's first session, covering the agenda number 1 to 4 and in subsequent Majlis session. If anyone has not received this material of Sunday series, please contact Ms. Farhana on WhatsApp 050-9786-500 or join e-invoicing Majlis WhatsApp group by scanning the QR code, as I said, so that you can get a copy of all the material issued up to now. Now, today, this Majlis is continuation of that journey where we meet once a week online, share our experience and challenges in the e-invoicing implementation and gain expert knowledge. During this journey, many members have been asked one common question. Up to now, in last 1.5 years, since we have run the ChatGPT and AI master course for the CT corporate Majlis group. So they were asking that how can we use AI and ChatGPT in e-invoicing implementation and then after. Let me, don't move the slide until I say, sorry. Okay. So we were speaking about AI. Yeah, keep this slide. Okay, thank you. Now, for AI and ChatGPT, we discussed this with the AI and ChatGPT expert CM Mahendra Khiani, and he very kindly agreed to guide us on the subject. So before we move into the more technical session with the introduction of ASP as a speaker from the next Majlis onward, we thought it is important to first understand the role of AI in e-invoicing. So now let me introduce Mr. CA Mahendra Khiani, Director of the KPMG Lower Court. He is a well-known trainer and I believe most of us already know him as he conducted the master course on AI and ChatGPT for City Majlis Group member last year, covering 3 Majlis sessions. He is also a regular speaker at various forums, including ICAI Dubai chapter and current member of the Executive Committee of Taxation Society. He is also contesting for the ICAI Dubai chapter EXCOM member, and we are very confident that he will be a big asset to the ICAI Dubai chapter. And we all, including our City Majlis group, are supporting CM Mahendra Khiani. He has trained more than 1,000 chartered accountants in Dubai on AI and ChatGPT. Now, with that, let's begin today's agenda. Uh, you may close the meeting because in between, I think some of the non-registered members are joining. And because of that, I think lobby is creating the problem. This is what team told me. So maybe you can, Mahendra, you can close the meeting, or maybe after 5 minutes you can close it, or you can
Sure.
accept lobby, because when the team is trying to accept or include the member, then they are interfering with the slides. All right.
Okay.
So as I say, let's first see
I can
the.
add the team. They can avoid. I'll add the team. Any new members coming in now.
Okay. Please do that. All right. So now today's agenda, we will be covering 7 agenda as listed in this slide, and agenda number 1 to 4. One is e-invoicing background timelines. Then second, e-invoicing key terms explain FAQ. Third, e-invoicing model and 5 corner models. The e-invoicing model, specifically 5 corner model, which is adopted by the UAE. And fourth one, mandatory and voluntary implementation, phase timeline. Today's Majlis purpose is to learn AI and ChatGPT, so we will not be going in detail of all this concept, but from the Majlis 2 onwards, we will be discussing in detail along with the our partner ASP will bring them, and they will be explaining the technicals and integration method, etc. From the Majlis 2 onwards. We will be handing over to the CA Mahendra Khiani to cover the agenda number 5 to 7 listed on the slide. And then last, if time will permit, then we will be taking the question and answer and closing. Please post your questions in the chat box, and during the session, at the end of the session, or at the end of session, as much as time permit, we will be taking the question online. So let's move to the agenda number 1, which is the timeline. UAE E-Invoicing legislative and regulatory timeline. Okay. So as I said, July 2023, e-billing system announced 5 major strategic transformation projects. Now, I would like to share one comment on a lighter note. One of the client where the CFO is Egyptian, and you know that how funny they are. I really like them, how they take the pressure in a very lighter mode. So he told me that Nishant, I am here for a long time, more than 10 years. And of course, he was a client since one of the big four. So he told me that when I arrived, I had a full head of the hair. And then into 2018, we implemented. So some of the part become empty. And then 2022, they announced the corporate tax. And now e-invoicing. He told me one good thing happened, that my shampoo cost reduced. Now I have a very few hair on my head, so I'm using the children's shampoo. I don't buy my own shampoo. So I told him that please keep it whatever few hair you have on your head, because a lot of things are coming, like e-reporting, then ROC, registration of your annual return. At present, we are not filing any return, and much more. So that way, there are many things happening, but only thing, it will save a lot of time of the finance as well as other teams. So that was the, I like his comment, and I thought that to share with you guys. So we were discussing about the first announcement on July 2023. Then on 24 October 2024, they launched the e-invoicing portal. So from July 2023 till October 2024, which was the consultation and awareness phase. From February 2024 onwards, MO have engaged with the industry stakeholder via closed session, forum, and workshop to understand how we can go ahead with the e-invoicing. Now, these discussions were held with the large businesses, technology provider, and of course, tax advisors. Then, finally, on 29th September 2025. Before that, 30th October 2024, they amended to VAT law number 16 and 17. I don't know how many of you guys remember uh, VAT law number 16 and 17. You see, e-invoicing is very much connected with the VAT. So many amendments are required into the VAT law and regulation, which was the first amendment to the VAT law number 16, recognizing electronic invoice for the tax purposes, input tax recovery, and compliance. At the same time, VAT law number 17 was also amended, which is the tax procedure law, to align with the e-invoicing system requirement. And finally, on 29th September 2025, recently, almost 5 months, 6 months back, they come up with the ministerial decision number 243 and 244 of 2025. So, MD 243 and 244 was issued to establish legal framework for e-invoicing and clear the way for its full implementation in the UAE. These decisions clarify that UAE adopting decentralized model. How many of you know about a decentralized model? Famously, we know five-corner model and prescribe the phase-wise deadline for the implementation. We will be covering both in today's session. At the same time, MOF has issued Cabinet Decision number 100 of 2025, which is effective from 29 September 2025, same date, amending VAT Executive Regulation, particularly Article 59, which is the format of the tax invoice, and Article 60, which is the format of the tax credit note. Now, thus legal framework is established. So what is the next? Since law is there, so what step could be next? Penalty, right? So finally, on 24th November 2025, they issued the Cabinet Decision number 106 of 2025 on violation and administrative penalties. We'll not go into the detail on the penalties, as our focus is on the full compliance with all in e-invoicing requirement, right? But it is important to note that penalties may apply on a per day, per invoice basis, including non-appointment of ASP on or before deadline. That said, touch wood, none of our client or Majlis group member have faced the penalty under the corporate tax or VAT so far, and we aim to maintain the same level of compliance for e-invoicing as well. Nobody likes penalty, right? But up to now, you see, it's a very same way like a corporate tax. You know that the filing was very simple, straightforward. Even the law was very comprehensive, 60 pages, 70 articles. And even the compliance was very easy. Same way, a lot of people are speaking about e-invoicing. But if you take the knowledge and start early, believe me, implementation of the e-invoicing will not be so complicated. So finally, now we reach to the Number 6, almost a month ago, recently, a full technical and implementation guides package consists of the more than 5 papers were issued on 23rd February 2026. And we have issued a bulletin on the same. I'm sure you must have got the copy of the same. So what are those 5 pronouncements? First, UE electronic invoicing guideline. Please note that we have already issued short summary of this guide as a part of our RCA monthly text newsletter. If you have not received the same, let us know so that we can share the same. It covers all important aspects, saving time for member. I think it's somewhere around 10 to 15 line out of say around 20 plus pages. So it is very good referral point. Then second, mandatory field requirement. We will be discussing the more on this today if time permit. Otherwise, in our subsequent majlis. Then third, very important aspect, ASP selection consideration. Please note that there is a separate paper issued by MOF that ASP selection consideration, and it is very important, though we will be discussing the same in today or next majlis onwards. Other document includes the program introduction, FAQ, etc. All these documents are available on MOF site along with the list of the 20 pre-approved ASP. As of now, we have a list of the 20 pre-approved ASP. We will be sharing the link to the same in the E-Invoicing Majlis WhatsApp group. Lot of material will be shared in the WhatsApp group, so please be member of the WhatsApp group so that you can get all the detail on time. We are known as a first firm to release the paper as early on the same day when announcement come from the Ministry of Finance. Now, based on this background, now let's walk through the e-invoicing journey together as much as time permit, as our today's focus is how AI and ChatGPT can help us in smooth implementation and on day-to-day basis once we go live. Please note that last year in the March 2025, we run the master course, free online master course on AI and ChatGPT, where CA Mahendra has enlightened more than 100 Majlis group member. So if you are not part of that group, it become a very important, not only important, it become a mandatory to know AI and ChatGPT, because after e-invoicing, everything is system. So if you were not part of this master course, please contact us. We will share the recording and you can go through the same. So now let's move quickly to the third agenda, which is a various e-invoicing model. Though we know that we have adopted a 5-corner model, but it will be very important to understand the other models so that we can understand what is this 5-corner model is. Various e-invoicing model, you must have heard a lot: centralized, decentralized, 5-corner, etc. Right? Up to now, I think maybe more than 50 seminars, webinars. And now we know that there are many models. So let's understand each one. Let's understand the different e-invoicing model. Now, this will help us to understand why e-invoicing has been implemented across the world over the last 2 decades. Yes, you heard the right. Since last 20 years, e-invoicing starting from the North America, Europe, Saudi, India, and now in the UAE, right? Of course, we'll not go on the benefit, etc., as whether there are any benefit to implement e-invoicing or not. But since it is a mandatory, so rather than going through the pro and cons, we have to implement it. Otherwise, from the 1st January 2027, we may face the penalties. Right? So let's see there are widely accepted 5 model of the invoicing. One is the post-audit model, clearance model, centralized model, real-time reporting, and yellow mark, which is our hybrid 5-corner model. Why it called hybrid? We will discuss. So, what is the post-audit model? Post-audit model, known as a traditional model, invoice issued directly between buyer and seller. Tax authority review transaction after filing. So, tax authority, of course, review the all invoices, but after filing. So when? During the VAT audit stage. It will be it will be interesting to understand since VAT was implemented in 2018, UE has operated under the post-audit model where invoices are reviewed by the tax authority after filing, right? So currently, we are operating under the structure invoicing model as prescribed by the VAT law, which is a 12 mandatory field, right? A lot of people say that no, we don't have any invoicing or e-invoicing structure at present, but since 2018, we are under the post-audit model. Only the difference is that we submit whatever invoices asked by the FTA, and during the audit, if you are lucky and you are selected for the audit, during the audit, they can review the same and you have to provide the explanation. Now, these things will change from the 1st January 2027, that on the same time, same day, the invoice will reach to the FTA before it reach to the buyer or the receiver of the invoices. So this is the post-audit model under which at present up to the 31st December 2026 for our phase line number 1 businesses, and subsequently all the businesses will be stopped operating under the post-audit model once the e-invoicing become a mandatory. Now we will see the second clearance model. What is the clearance model? Now this model is also known as CTC or real-time control model. Under this model, invoices must be validated, cleared by tax authority before issuance. I know many of you are part of the group with the Saudi operation, so you might be knowing Saudi has implemented under this model, and at present, all the invoices need to be cleared by the authority. So let's understand what the clearance model is. Invoices get approval ID from the authority, thus high level of control and fraud prevention. So first, you have to send the invoice to the authority and they approve it. We will not discuss much since we have not adopted centralized or clearance model, but we will touch upon so that we can understand what is all about a 5-corner model. Anybody know which other countries are also following this model? Because this is very rigid model. Until unless authority approve, you cannot send invoice to buyer. The problem is that until unless you send the invoice to buyer, you cannot get your payment done, right? Or even your payment term start from the invoice received by the buyer. So of course the Saudi, one is the Saudi, which is a phase 2, 2023. And I'm sure many of you know that India also operate under the clearance model, which is called IRP, Invoice Registration Portal B2B, starting with the 500 crore, reaching to the 5 crore face manner. So even the 5 crore B2B businesses will require to implement e-invoicing back in India. Also, the Italy was the one of the first country to implement full mandatory e-invoicing under the clearance model from the 1st January 2029, whereas B2G was as early as 2014, and B2C. Yes, you heard right. B2C from 2019. So B2C is also coming in the UAE. We will discuss the later. But of course, as if you look at the wording of the ministerial decision, it is clearly mentioned that the B2C will be under the scope as determined by the minister. So going forward, then only it will make a sense and we will be totally under the e-invoicing framework. Okay, so now let's move to the centralized model. All invoices are routed through the central platform, typically operated by the government, before being delivered to the buyer. Now, this model also a bit, very time-consuming and strange. So that is why very few countries at present, Spain, they have a centralized reporting system, and they operate under this model. So let's move to the next, which is a real-time reporting model. Okay. Businesses must report invoice data to tax authority in a real time or shortly after issuance. Unlike the clearance model, invoices can be shared with the buyer before reporting. So here, this is the balance between the control and each, which improve the, of course, tax visibility, because you say at the same time you're sharing the invoice with the tax authority without disrupting the business operation, as you are sharing the same invoice with the buyer as well. Yeah. Now, finally, we landed on the hybrid or five-corner model, which is a Peppol-based model, or we call it a decentralized model. You can see it is in yellow because it is adopted by the UAE. Under the Peppol, what is the Peppol, by the way? Pan-European Public Procurement Online. This is the one system where all ASP are to part of that network, so that buyer ASP and your ASP can communicate, exchange the invoices. So, as we are reading the definition, under the Peppol Pan-European Public Procurement Online, enable the different businesses system and platform to connect through standard network, allowing invoices to be exchanged seamlessly via ASP. Now, this is what we will be adopting. Anybody know why it called hybrid or a cocktail or a mix of the many model? Actually, it is a mix of the system connectivity, reporting, and regulatory visibility. We have discussed the three models specifically: clearance and centralized and real-time reporting. You can understand that five corner include everything, in the sense that, of course, it will not be approved by FTA before sharing with the your buyer, but it will be clear by the ASP, your ASP, you will be sharing with the FTA. FTA will also validate. At the same time, you will be sharing the invoice, your ASP will be sharing with the buyer's invoice, and buyer will get invoice. Mostly what we have seen that at the same time, you get ASP get invoice, FTA get invoice, and your buyer get invoice, until and unless there are any problem with the mandatory field, somewhere around 49 to 51 mandatory field, or the structure of e-invoicing is not matching with the requirement, then you get a problem or you can stuck. Otherwise, at the same time, invoicing will reach to the everyone, like your ASP, buyer's ASP, FTA, tax authority, and buyer as well. Alongside the Singapore, New Zealand, now UAE is among the first to adopt the mandatory paper-based model at scale. As we know that in a phased manner, we are adopting and implementing the e-invoicing. From e-invoicing Majlis number 2 onwards, every Friday, our focus will shift to the fifth model where we will discuss what this model is, its requirement, and how we can smoothly implement e-invoicing under the UE Peppol-based framework. Now let's touch upon the five-corner model in detail. Since it is our model, we'll be discussing little more on the same. I hope a presentation. All right. So now here we are going little depth and into the detail of our e-invoicing implementation. In this diagram, you can see five corner edge C1 to C5. You can see here C1, C2, C3, C4, and then C5. C1 is the seller. Suppose you are implementing the e-invoicing, then you are the one. You will send the invoice to your ASP, which is seller access point, C2. And once ASP validate and convert the PINT-AE, what is the PINT-AE? Of course, subsequently we will discuss, and transmit to the receiver. With the receiver, one is the FTA and ASP buyer access point, which is a C3. As we know, the UAE E-Invoicing system will follow the Peppol-based five-corner decentralized model with the Ministry of Finance and Federal Tax Authority positioned as a fifth corner responsible for receiving and storing the data. And this data will be used for the VAT return or subsequently e-reporting, whereby your VAT return may become a e-reporting. So if we talk more about the five corners, since it is applicable to all of us, corner number one, sellers generate the invoice in their accounting or ERP system. The seller enter the invoice in their accounting or ERP system and send it through the ASP. So once you enter into your system, then you have to press the button send. It will reach to your ASP. Your ASP is sitting on the corner number 2. So what is the function of your ASP? You can read here, validate, convert to PINT-AE and transmit to the receiver. And then also ASP check the invoice to make sure it meet all in e-invoicing standard, all the mandatory field, all the optional field or conditional field. Then corner 3, again ASP, but it is bias ASP. What he does, you can read here, receive the PIN document, forward to buyer, submit MLS. What is MLS? Message level status after confirmation from C5. So he will not be forwarding the invoice until it is confirmed from the tax authority that the invoice is matching or in compliance with all mandatory field. So finally now, you see ultimately these two are the real business, the seller and buyer. So ultimately this all sequences to reach the invoice over here. So corner number 4, which is a buyer or receiver of invoice. So it received the invoice in their accounting software or ERP. They will not receive the physical the way we are sending at present, whether the PDF or a Word document, but automatically once it is sent by the buyer's ASP, it will be appearing in their accounting system, and you will, as a seller, you will get a notification. So you will not be required every day to call whether you receive not. Though, as I said earlier, it will be a same time buyer will receive the invoice so that you can start asking for the payment. The buyer get invoice through ASP. So again, you cannot set separately invoice and start asking for the payment. Of course, it will come only from the ASP. Then only buyer will be able to release the payment, because buyer will not be able to uh, enter the invoice until and unless it is pushed or it is sent by the ASP. Now we discussed little about last corner, which is the corner number 5, tax authority. So what is their function? Basically, if you can see here, I don't know whether you are able to read, receive tax data, validate and transmit to the centered data platform. Now this centered data platform, as we know, this will be for the all the tax requirement like VAT, return filing. What we can foresee is the reconciliation problem, that your VAT data will be something else and FTA data may be something different. Uh, that may happen if the e-invoicing is not implemented properly. Of course, we will be discussing entire cycle in a great detail in subsequent Majlis session when ASP will also be a speaker. So we just touch upon, as I said, that today's our Majlis is specifically for the AI and ChatGPT, but we want to touch upon so that it will be good to understand how AI and ChatGPT can help us in implementation of the uh, e-invoicing. Almost 40 minutes, so I will quickly finish in 10 minutes and then we'll hand over to the CA Mahendra to take it forward. Now let's quickly move to the phase timeline in next slide. Okay, now this is all I see here. Detail will come as we'll click the uh, mandatory and voluntary implementation phase timeline. Please note that all these timelines are prescribed by Ministerial Decision 244 of 2025, issued on 29 September 2025. And this was the matter of our first Someday series research paper. You can see there one-line answers and all these deadlines. So to start with the pilot program, uh, 1st July 2026, a taxpayer working group will test the system starting from 1st July 2026 under ministerial supervision. So what is the taxpayer working group? Large businesses or any businesses can apply to the FTA with a written confirmation. You can be a part of the taxpayer working group and you can implement uh, e-invoicing as early as 1st July 2026. Of course, there will not be a penalty until 1st January 2027 or as per your deadline. If you cross the deadline and issue the invoice, then of course it will be subject to the penalties. So now this participation, as I said, required through the written confirmation. A lot of people, they wanted to adopt the e-invoicing early, and they were referring a lot of queries. So please, you have to apply to FTA, and if they approve, then you can go ahead to implement from the 1st July 2026. Then also voluntary adoption you can do from the 1st July 2026. You will not require a written confirmation from the FTA, but that will be your internal process because you want to test your system. And as we decided for all our client, we are going live from the 1st October 2025, 3 months before, so that you can test your system, your ASP working, and more important, your team to avoid the penalty. You see, when we say that teams means it's not only the finance or accounting team, even your procurement, your operational team, everybody will be involved, and you have to, the way you have trained them for the VAT, similar way you have to train them for the e-invoicing. Let's quickly move to the number 2, which is a mandatory implementation phase line number 1, where revenue more than 50 million, appoint ASB by 31st July 2026, go live by 1st January 2027. This is what we were saying. Now here, immediately the question come to our mind, what is the definition of revenue, right? Here they are saying that, and this question was asked several times. I'm sure all of you are very clear now, since almost 6 months we have this decision. And of course, inside the decision itself, the revenue is, the definition of the revenue is given. So revenue is based on the gross income in the most recent accounting period as per financial statement or other document. Now, suppose a lot of people say that we are not preparing the financial statement. So in that case, your, of course, the first is your total of the invoices, or if you are a VAT registered business, then VAT return, or any other document which is acceptable by the FT. And here they have mentioned the most recent accounting period. So again, they are not asking the businesses to fix their financial year from January to December. Whatever, like last you have closed your books of account on say 30th September 2025, then you have to look at the revenue of that particular year, and if it grows 50 million, then the e-invoicing need to be implemented from 31st July 2026 within 4 months. Why I say 31st July 2026? Because that's the first thing where you appoint a ASP. If you fail to appoint by 31st July 2026, then there is a provision for the penalty. So let's move to the second, which is mandatory implementation phase timeline number 2. Why 2? Again, it is based on your revenue. Now here, one interesting question which very frequently a lot of businesses ask, especially the B2C. Now suppose B2C revenue is say 49.8 million. And B2B revenue is say around 500 tons. So that make more together more than 50 million. Okay. Put together, both crossing 50 million means you are falling in the first. Here, the catch point is irrespective of your revenue from B2B, even a single invoice B2B will bring you under the e-invoicing network, in the sense you have to implement the e-invoicing. Now here it's not only B2B revenue. Even if you are purchasing from the businesses, means your purchases are B2B, like supermarkets, like a Lulu, like Peppol, all those, though they are almost purely B2C. Of course, they have a B2B as well. But even if you are purely B2C, but as long as your purchases are consist the invoices from B2B, then you have to implement e-invoicing, and then the deadline will be your revenue as per your financial statement, so that you will club both B2B, B2C. We are not showing separately as per ISA 1 accounting standard. So there, if your revenue is more than 50 million, then you will fall in the first phase timeline. If it is less than 50 million, then you will fall in the second phase timeline. Now here again, two category. One is the non-government entity like you and me. Yes, all the consulting firm will also be part of the e-invoicing and for them, the appointing ASP by 31st March 2027, 1 year, and go live by 1st July 2027. This is the 3.1. Now, the second category is the government entity. They need to appoint the ASP by 31st March 2027, same as the small businesses, SMEs, but they need to give the go live from the 1st October 2027. So some grace period of say how much 4 months grace period is given for the government entity. Now, this government entity means uh, the government entity covering or undertaking non-sovereign activities. Again, sovereign activity we will see in the exclusion. They are not part of the e-invoicing implementation. So as I said, 3 months more grace period to go live to government entity undertaking non-sovereign activity without any revenue threshold. So they have not put any means they are 50 million more or 50 million or more, then they will not come under this. They have a set deadline, right? Okay. Now we can move to the next, which is exclusion. You know, everybody like exclusion, and immediately we move and see whether we are falling under the exclusion. So this 4+1 exclusions are listed in Article 4 of the MD 243 2025, and only one, the first one, is listed in MD 244 2025. To start with, let's quickly see all the exclusion. Only first is relevant. Rest all are a bit different scenarios. Okay, so let's start with A, business to consumer transaction excluded at present means until such time determined by the decision issued by the minister. As I said earlier, this is what the language of the ministerial decision 244, and it specifically said that at present B2C transactions, purely B2C, not a single whether revenue or purchases B2B, very few. I think now it become almost important to buy from the businesses. So if you don't have, you are purely like a online, lot of online platform, lot of people from the online platform, they contact us and they say that we are purely B2C, whether we will be under the e-invoicing. Yes, because your buying is from the B2B. Yeah. So first, let's move to the B, which is the government entities. As I said, sovereign activities. Again, if such activities are not in competition with the private sector, right? So government entities are excluded if they are undertaking the sovereign activities, and if it is if such activities are not in the competition, direct competition with the private sector, right? Then the airline. Now here, a very important point in the airline related transaction. Many of the people they skip this. This is again coming from the ministerial decision. So let's read about airline or understand about the airline related transaction. So what are those airline related transaction? Anyone? Of course, it's a international passenger transport, your e-ticket, right? And then uh, international air cargo. These two are important. Of course, there are many. We'll not discuss all, but these two, one is the passenger and one is the cargo. Yeah, airways bill. Now, as I was mentioning, one very important aspect, the air cargo. Of course, it is excluded at present, but this is a temporary relief for 24 months, same like a intergroup transaction. It is a temporary relief. It means air cargo will also, that airway bill will also be part of the e-invoicing. But they can enjoy the 24 months to structure themselves. You know, the cargo shipping, we have one shipping client, too much problem because a lot of charges you will be knowing only after raising the invoices, right? We'll discuss, even we are planning to have a majlises on each sector like construction, real estate, shipping, then FMCG like hotels and restaurant. So at a time we will discuss in detail. At present, we have a one shipping client, and we were surprised. There are a lot of problem, lot of wet mistake they are continue to do since 2018, which they need to connect now. So correct now. First thing, what we are doing is the wet health check, because you have submitted written. It does not mean that everything is correct until and unless uh, audit from the vet. So vet health check is also important, especially very complex industry like a shipping and construction and then the real estate. Then let's move quickly because of the time. We have to little go a little bit. We have to go fast. But I will be sharing all the practical experiences and specifically what can go wrong while implementing e-invoicing, and also what you can do today, what you can start with. A lot of people are asking this, sir, what we do now? We appoint ASP. No, please. ASP is a long way to go. Before that, lot of things, lot of data clearance, lot of VAT compliance and checking need to be done before. And even the ASP, selecting ASP itself is a big challenge. We'll discuss if we get a time today. We have a very good write-up on the ASP, how to select the ASP, because there is a very different price model by every ASP. Please note that at present only 20 pre-approved ASP. Of course, some software company will become an ASP, and if I remember correctly, the last corporate tax registration crossed 560,000 businesses. So how this a handful of course they will add the more list to the ASP. Otherwise, how this handful of the ASP will be able to serve those many businesses? So you know what will be the challenge? After sales service. Once you send the invoice and there is a problem to get a response from the ASP, that is why please don't rush to choose the ASP again. For small business, different. Also, first 100 invoices are without any charge as per the MOF guideline. So if you are falling in that category, accordingly you have to select the ASP. Especially the two thing. One is the price model. More than 100 invoice will every invoice will have its own price, ranging from say 20 field to the 2 dirham per invoice, depend upon the ASP. So various ASP is we have a we have the quotation of all 20 almost, not all, but many of them, because some of the like Deloitte and all those consulting firm, they have their own large client to serve. But many of the quotation we have, and we were surprised initially. We took quotation and we were surprised that price vary a lot. At the same time, services also vary a lot, like where you store your data, whether it will be locally or overseas. Overseas are allowed as long as you have control on the data integration method, whether you want ASP to connect with your financial system, or you want to make the invoice and send it separately, of course, in a XML format. So there are a lot of aspects to discuss for selection of ASP, and you need to be heavily guided to select the ASP. Plus, you have to understand how you will be getting day-to-day services from the ASP going forward when entire UE will come under the net of the e-invoicing, say maybe 500, 400,000 businesses. So that is why please take all the knowledge available. Of course, as I said, there is a guideline by the MOF itself that what consideration you have to give before selecting the or while selecting the ASP. We'll be discussing a lot. We will be discussing what can go wrong both in e-implementation and selection of the ASP in a subsequent majlis. As I said today, we have to conclude fast so that we can hand over to the now I think 4 o'clock. So we have to hand over to CA Mahendra so that he can enlighten us on AI and ChatGPT. So let's now finally the last is a simple summary. E-invoicing apply to all business transaction except only specifically excluded transaction or person as above this. Only these people are excluded. Rest all businesses are under the net of the e-invoicing. Yeah. So let's move quickly to the next slide. Let's see what those slides are. We will just see at a glance, and then we'll be concluding introduction of the e-invoicing. The next is the e-invoicing background. What is the e-invoicing? We have a definition. What is the people? What is the PINT-AE? This all are there in our research paper. Of course, Majlis number 2 in detail, along with the ASP, we will be discussing all these definitions. Then what is the structure format of XML? What is the data dictionary? Please note that more than 135 fields are there. Some are mandatory, some are voluntary, some are conditional. But this is, this is the art. Like at present, you are asking a KYC separately, right? You put a one person to ask the KYC from your customer as well as other business connection, because you need to understand one is the, of course, AML, otherwise also. Now, with this e-invoicing structure, you can include the same. Same way the payment, a lot of, the now e-invoicing will become one sort of the agreement. Of course, it was an agreement before, but there was a limit to include the field. At present, mandatory field ranging from the 49 to 51. Why 49? For commercial invoice, which is out of scope invoice, to less to less field. We will be discussing, of course, same in detail going forward. And for the standard rated and zero rated 51 fields, we'll be discussing each field and how you can extend whatever 12 or 16 field at present in your invoice, how you can extend to the 49 or 51 as the case may be, to comply with the data dictionary issued by the MOM. Then the mandatory field we discussed already. As I was saying, more than 135 fields, so it is hard to select what field you want. This itself require a good workshop to understand, because once you are live, this will go lifetime, and you have to see that how your team, how you can save your time as well as your time. When I say it means the finance and accounting department, as well as the other teams like a procurement, the project teams, lot of things what they are doing at present separately, even if it is not manual through the system, but separately at a separate module you are doing many things you can include through the e-invoicing, because ultimately entire business is revenue, and revenue come through the invoicing, right? Invoices. Okay, so last is the ASP. We have a very good write-up. Actually, I wanted to speak on this, but I think because of the time, we will not be able to cover the ASP selection. But as I promised that from the Majlis number 2 onwards, we will be covering this. Please be part of the e-invoicing Majlis group. As I said, that QR code is on the first and last slide. You can scan and you can register for the same. It will be on a pre-approval basis. Only the people who is connected and implementing e-invoicing, so that we can avoid useless discussion as we experience in the other groups. Of course, our city group also, we don't allow somebody is constantly on the group. If anything, I'm sure you guys are member of the city Majlis group and you must have noticed the same. All right. So next Majlis onwards agenda, data dictionary, we discuss use cases. What is use cases, by the way? A lot of people are talking about use cases. It is nothing but different kind of invoices like your standard rated, your zero rated, out of scope. 16 use cases, but no need to fear anything. It is, of course, the standard rated invoice will have a different field than out of scope. So this is what it is, and there is a set guideline for all the 16 use cases. We'll be discussing on the same. Of course, VAT compliance, VAT health check is, the pillar of the successful implementation of the e-invoicing. Then sessions by the pre-approved ASP and functional and technical gap analysis, evaluation and onboarding of ASP. I think maximum of things I already spoke that what we'll be covering from the next Majlis onward. High-level e-invoicing project approach. Now, this is very important. We have a very good, the workflow of the project approach, how you put a project coordinator or project head and then project coordinator, and how they can, move phase-wise, phase one, what they can do phase two, phase three. All right. So, Sunday series 49 and 70 FAQ question, VAT health check requirement, member, and then Q&A, members Q&A that we'll be discussing next. Of course, now I already took 9 minutes more, so I'm sorry. Now I will be handing over to the CA Mahendra. Thank you so much for joining today's session. I know it's very challenging. The time is challenging, yet you guys spare the time and join. We will continue with our journey. Thank you so much. This is the QR code for the joining e-invoicing Majlis. Now I will hand over to Mahendra Bhai. I will stop sharing. Sorry, Mahendra Bhai, I took 10 minutes more. I hope you can conclude. As long as members are comfortable, you can continue after 4:30. So thank you so much.
Thank you so
Over
much,
to you.
Nishant bhai, and thank you so much for setting up the context. And welcome everyone. I will be very quick, and this is what I know. The session was till 4:30. So what I would do is I would try to cover most of the elements in the next 20 minutes. Okay, and follow it up. 1 second, let me just fix my computer screen. So what I will try to do is, this is how I'd cover the session in next 30 minutes. I'll first 10 minutes, I'll set some background, or I'll rather use just 5 minutes for setting the background on how e-invoicing is different than any change in tax regulation, and how it is equally about data and technology as much as it is about tax. Okay, so I'll set the context in 5 minutes. After that, what I would do is I have built a tool, a bot, which will answer all the questions, all the queries around the law, which Nishant Bhai was talking about, be it around impact assessment, be it around selections of ASPs, be it around which system would require what kind of changes. I'll showcase you the link as well for the same, and we will test it live with some of the questions that you already have. I'll try to spend 10 to 15 minutes on that, and I'll not take more than that. And final 10 minutes, I'll show you how to create such tools which would help you ease your life around tax and beyond that. So without any further delay, let me get started with this. Let me just fix my system first, because I'm on dual system right now. Okay, and now let me just share the screen. Okay, so what exactly is e-invoicing, and why I was saying that this is as much as about technology as we are talking about it as a tax initiative. Okay, so e-invoicing comes under the umbrella of Digital Tax Administration or DTAs, which is basically a global mega trend. And when I say global mega trend, as we speak, around 70 companies or 70 countries have already either implemented or are in the process of implementing e-invoicing. Now, you may ask that many companies are implementing tax regulation changes. Why is e-invoicing such a major shift? And I'll tell you three reasons for it. First is it moves the entire tax compliance landscape from the current periodic transaction controls, as we call it PTCs, where you are periodically filing the returns. You can make the changes before your quarterly or monthly returns to continuous transaction controls. CTC means that as and when each of the transaction is happening, government is real time updated around it. And if you think about it, maybe in future you may not even need to fill any returns or forms because government already knows what was your VAT liability. Eventually, when today we are talking about B2B is transaction, when B2C comes in, even your corporate tax landscape, your related party transactions, this digital tax administration will change the entire dynamics of how tax is being pursued by the government and seen by all of us. And globally, if you look at examples of some of these 70 countries, it has led to increase in GDPs because people have to report higher revenues, reduction in tax leakages. So it has changed the entire dynamics, and it is not just a tax change. It is literally change in the operating models or how you do business. And if you remember the five corner model, you will understand what I'm talking about over here. I would have loved to cover a little more from technical perspective how five corner works, but I know I don't have that much time, so I'll be limited in the coverage. So, like I said, e-invoicing is part of the digital tax administration, moves from the traditional ways of periodic transaction controls to continuous transaction controls. It is being adopted by multiple countries, and it requires a little bit of centralized automation. Now, what does centralized automation means? Now, Nishant I was talking about that certain schema, PINT-AE schema. It is basically those data fields that are required to be there, those 51 data fields that are required to be there. Now, some of your ERP systems may have those fields, some of the ERP systems may not have those fields. You may be operating in multiple geographies as well. So what it means is that it requires you to control your invoicing system in a much more centralized manner so that you can report in to the ASP and eventually to the FTA through that. So that's what significantly changes. And we spoke about or briefly spoke about Peppol architecture. I'll not get into the technical details of the Peppol architecture, but I will just talk about three important things of Peppol architecture, which as a layman you should know, and you should ideally know because this is how the future evolution of e-invoicing in the country would happen. So Peppol architecture, as the full form suggested, it is a European architecture which is followed by a lot of countries. Okay, now when you adopt Peppol architecture, it is very contradicting to the proprietary architectures which India and let's say countries like Saudi Arabia has implemented. Basically, the countries which are on the Peppol architecture, the transaction data can be shared by the governments among each other. So it facilitates cross-border transactions, and eventually, when if later on the entire Peppol countries have to come on the same architecture, the interoperability of the data significantly increases, which means at some point in the future, even your global transactions would come under this framework. So UAE has been very forward looking in terms of selecting the right architecture which allows it to move global. And second most important thing is that it's a decentralized model. What it means that it's not FTA which is taking the responsibility of invoice validation. They have transferred this responsibility to the ASPs. So if you remember the five corner, you are raising the invoice, it is going to your ASP. What is ASP doing? It is looking at all the relevant fields. It is validating if those relevant fields are in the right format or not, and then sending it to the corner 5, or which is FTA. So it has technically transferred the responsibility of validating the invoice with the ASPs, which is a decentralized model. But at the same time, all the invoices are getting real-time updated to FTA. So it is a continuous transaction controls with a responsibility of validation if the invoice is correct or not, transferred to the ASPs. Now, what are some of the key challenges from system perspective you would face? I will be very quick over here. One is the data quality foundations. Okay. What do I mean by data quality foundations over here is that the PINT-AE XML format, and XML is basically machine readable format, because if you look at these five corners, from supplier to the supplier's ASP to FTA, then to corner 3 of the buyer ASP, as well as then to the buyer, the data is getting transmitted. And these are all machines. Okay, so how does machines read it? You have to transfer your data into machine readable format, which is called as a XML. And it needs to have those required fields. And that's what ASP is typically validating. Okay, so making sure that you have the right kind of data and in the right format is what is most critical over here. Okay. The second is the system readiness, which means, does your system have those data fields? If yes, good. Are they in the right format? And secondly, if not, what are the changes required? Sometimes the solution can also be a middleware. If you have 100 branches, all of them on different, some of them are capturing information differently, you might need to have a middleware which captures all the data, cleans up the data in the required format, and then moves it to ASP. And that becomes a very critical criteria of ASP selection. The third thing is uh, digital signing or hashing requirement, which makes sure that while the data is getting transmitted, there are no changes to the data at any of the levels. Okay, which is again critical requirement of a ASP selection. Then integration strategies, or how good are the APIs? Because as you can see, data is moving multiple times from first from your system to the your ASP, then from your ASP to the buyer ASP, then from buyer ASP to the buyer system, as well as it is moving to FTA. So API is all those, these are data layers. So making sure you are selecting a ASP which has the best quality API is very important to make sure you are not facing challenges in terms of invoice rejections at later stages. Because if you are not reporting your invoices within 14 days as required by the VAT requirements, you would be at loss, and you would have the penalties around the same. And finally, all these items have to be stored in UAE. So either you are storing it in your cloud, or making sure the ASP cloud, which is storing the XML data, which is required for the number of years as specified by the government or FTA, are within, they have their data warehouses within the country. So these are some of the technical requirements that are needed. Now to make sure these technical requirements are met, what we need to do is, there is a readiness assessment required for systems, for the data, uh, gaps in ERP integrations, then how effective are your systems, or how ready you are in terms of maturity, and then building a roadmap and impact analysis. All these things typically is part of readiness assessment, which takes a lot of time, weeks. But what I've done is I wanted to showcase a chatbot or a bot that I'd created, which is going to do it for you in hours. And this is the link of the bot. You can also scan it over here, and then you would go to a website, and I'll also open that website and I'll show you where exactly is the tool over here. So let me unshare my screen, or first you can scan this code, and then I'll go to the AI tools and to the bot. Till here, any questions you have? So this is where you would have reached, and over here there are AI tools and resources, and this is where UAE E-Invoicing Advisor tool is available. You can launch it from here. So like I was saying, what are the capabilities of it? I prepared a capability document as well for it. Let me just show you the capability document also. So these are the capabilities it can do. Uh, it can basically translate regulations. It can do readiness assessment in terms of VAT profile. It can provide a maturity score, provide you what are the changes that may be required in the business process and operating models, what are the fields available, and it can map the data, uh, ASP selection strategies. Uh, so a lot of things it can respond to. Every time it provides answers, it is trained in a manner that it only uses official UAE documents, and it will give source references. If the bot has assumed anything, it would provide that. So these are some of the things it can do. And let's look at it in a bit more detail. So now let me go to the AI tools and launch it. Let me share my full screen for a bit so that I can showcase you the tool. So this is where once I click on it, it will create a open a customized GPT that was created for this purpose. So this is the Emirates E-Invoicing Advisor which I had created. Now we can ask, we had few of the questions in the chat window. I will pick some of the questions and it would be able to answer. Let me pick this question. Let me pick some questions. Something. Yeah, let me pick up this one. The export is done to an unregistered person. Will the invoicing be applicable? So let me ask this question. So it is providing you the official UAE position. It has the link from where it picked up. It has the FTA link as well. Practical uh, integrations, business impact, recommended actions to be done from all the perspectives and whatever assumptions it has taken, and then it is providing the conclusion and with the official source references. Okay, so this was one example. I had put together few more detailed example to talk about what is possible over here. One second. Uh, you were able to see the GPT, right? It was visible. Or okay, it is freezed at some screen. Okay. Wait. Let me just. So you were not able to see at all, is it? Okay, let me repeat completely. So now I'm sharing the full screen.
Actually, some of the participants they were able to see, but yeah, you can in a summary manner you can repeat the same. I know that nowadays the internet is also stable, so some of the participants they were not able to. Sometimes they may not be able to hear or see. So yeah, you can repeat it.
Okay, okay. So this is I had shared the link. This is where it opens this website, and over here there are AI tools. There is UAE E-Invoicing Advisor. I can launch it, and then it opens the custom GPT. And then this was the question that was asked by one of the participants, which is export is done to a unregistered person. Will the invoicing be applicable? Okay. Now it is asking when goods are exported to a customer who is not registered, that is no UAE VAT registration. And then it is giving official UAE position based on MOF framework, which says that all reportable transactions. And then FTA frameworks, exports are applicable at 0% tax rate. Okay. So e-invoicing applicability is still there. Then business impact, it is covering all the scenarios. It is giving all the recommendations. And wherever you are seeing the positions, a link is getting activated. If I click on this link, it would open that regulation. Okay, so it has been configured in a manner that it can't give answers like ad hocly. It will give answers only through regulations. Then it is what assumption it has taken. It says that those clearly which are the documents it shows for reference, and then it provides. And obviously, this is um not a legal advice, not a formal advice. This is based on the source document opening. So that's what it is trying to say. So this was one example. And like I said, I'd already shared the screenshot. You can find it under AI tools. I was also explaining what are the different things it can do. So it can answer your questions relating to interpretation, impact assessments, business process redesigns, data and field mapping, selection, implementation strategies, so on and so forth. So basically, anything and everything which is required for e-invoicing piece. Now, how do we create such tools? Okay, so this can we get the link to the tool? Let me just share my screen again while I talk about it. So you can just scan over here. I'll increase the size. You can just scan and you would be able to go and check it under AI tools. Now, uh, how do we create such tools? Right. I had created this tool using custom GPTs, and you can also create such tools. And I'll show you how we can do it very quickly. I know I don't have much time, so I will be just quickly showcasing you. So if you have a paid account of ChatGPT, what you can do is you can go to explore GPTs. Explore GPTs are like just like we have App Store on our phones. A GPT Store is where somebody has created those special uh, chatbots. Like there is these are some of the featured one, Canva for designing. There is a Scholar GPT. Then there are various ones. Okay, and you can just click on a create GPT, and here you can specify what GPT you want. So, for example, to showcase you guys, this is a prompt I had prepared, which I can show you how to showcase. Like, first, you define the role. What exactly is this bot supposed to do? So, it is supposed to be a VAT and e-invoicing expert helping finance teams. Then, what are its capabilities? It can help with readiness, invoice validation, identifying errors, how the output you want in a structured format with section issues, with where to read the requirements from. So UAT rules, highlight assumptions clearly, and then a few more things. Now, this is obviously a very simplistic way of putting this. If I show you the bot that I'd created, it has lines and lines of code, lines and lines of instructions that were given and refined over a period of time. But I'm showing you how this can be done. It can be further enhanced in terms of adding web search capabilities. You can give instructions that before answer, look at only FTA websites which you can update over here. Um Nishant was talking about some of the FAQs. Those FAQ files can be uploaded to as a knowledge base for this GPT, as well as you can connect it to your email box. So a lot of things can be done for creation of these GPTs. Okay, and one more thing I wanted to show is quickly how does the GPT look like in the backend, because a completed one would show you much more information. Wait, let me just go to edit GPT. So this is what I had created. So if you see the instructions of it, this is what I'd mentioned in the instructions, like how it would apply the logic, how would be the response structures, how the source references should be there. So if you see, like a lot of information has been put over here, which tools it would use and all, what should be the starting questions that should appear in the backend, front end of the GPT. So this is how it has been created, and to help to see, this is how it answers the questions. I asked it to create an implementation roadmap. It created with the charts and all. So this is how it is working in a very detailed manner. It creates all this information, and I have made it available on the website, which you can find under AI tools. So typically, I like the sessions to be more practical, more discussion based. So I would use, I know I'm already 5 minutes over time, but I will still take this opportunity to check if you have any questions, and Mo would be more than happy to answer. And I'll put the link as well of the tool. Let me put the link right now in the chat window itself. So now it is there in the chat window. You can scan, and this should work after that. And thank you so much. I also thank Nishant for providing me this opportunity to interact with all of you. It is always a pleasure to be at the Majlis group, be it corporate tax Majlis or e-invoicing Majlis. I'm fortunate enough to be part of both the groups, and fortunate enough to be doing joint session with Nishant across these platforms, which have helped members on tax and how to use AI effectively with tax. And I'm also thankful to Nishant for the kind word he said and introduced me. And thank you all, so much for all the support. Over to you, Nishant bhai.
Thank you for your lovely words and session. Now, without wasting much time, we thank you all the valuable time and active participation in e-invoicing Majlis session number 1. Your engagement made this session meaningful. We sincerely appreciate the insight, contribution, and expertise shared by CA Mahendra Khiani, which is added a great value to the discussion. We look forward to your continued participation in our upcoming Majlis session as we progress further on the UE e-invoicing journey. Have a good day and weekend ahead.
Thank you, everyone.